Hi, good morning, everybody. This is BMN 513, Buddhism through its scriptures class. Today is August the 2nd, 2021, our fourth week session. So I hope everyone is doing okay. And I'm receiving your homework assignments. One thing that I have to mention is that you have to write down your name on the assignment, because sometimes your email, I cannot recognize from your email your exact name, what your exact name is. So please write down your name on the Word document on top. That way it's easier for me to trace you. So we have been, for the last couple of weeks, we have been doing, talking about the scriptures, Buddhist scriptures, how they were formed, how they were preserved and continued. Today, I thought of looking at one of the earliest discourses of the Buddha. This is very famous and you must have read it before in some of my classes. The very first sermon of the Buddha, it is said to be the very first discourse of the Buddha, very first teaching of the Buddha. After the Buddha attained enlightenment, you know, he spent some time, some weeks under the Bodhi tree, and he was thinking to himself whether he should teach or not. Finally, he came to the decision that I should teach the very deep understanding that I have. I should share it with the other people, because he saw in his vision that there are people who can understand his deep message. Some of the people cannot understand his deep message, but still there are some who can strive, who can put an effort to understand his deep wisdom or deep knowledge. So he decided that thing, and then he proceeded. He went to a park, actually, in Varanasi, today modern day Varanasi. He was looking for the 5 companions that he was associating with when he was spending 6 years long self-mortification, when he was in the forest doing all kinds of meditative practices. He was giving a lot of pain to his body, 6 years long time. During that time, he had 5 companions. So he wanted to see them and share his understanding first to them, because the Buddha thought they might be able to grasp what I am trying to say. So he proceeded to where they were. They were in a park. It's called Deer Park. Over there, the Buddha gave his first sermon. So that sermon is called sermon, his teaching, or whatever. That is the thing that we are going to read in this class. So it is called the turning of the wheel. You know the word wheel. When you turn a wheel, it keeps rolling. It goes on rolling forward. So the image is very nice. The Buddha's message is just like a wheel. It keeps rolling forward. it cannot come back. It never rolls back. It rolls forward. So it's called turning of the wheel. Dhamma Chakkappavattana in Pali. So the thing that you are going to read is not Pali, don't worry. It is the translation, very abridged translation, which I want you to read and get the the original idea, original way the Buddha first talked to these 5 people, how he presented his case or his understanding. So please read that sutra. I will give you little hints today. In this sutra, in this discourse, excuse me, I have a sore throat today, but don't worry, not corona. In this sutra, the Buddha refers to 2 extremes. So you have to summarize this sutra. When you are summarizing, please pay attention to these things. At the very beginning, the Buddha says that there are 2 extremes that a noble person should avoid. A person who is looking for salvation or emancipation or liberation or nibbana, that person should avoid 2 extremes. There are 2 extremes to be avoided. First one is, if you want to translate the English term, I mean the Pali term, it's called self-mortification. In the sutra, in the translation that I'm giving you, you might not find that particular word, but it is the idea, self-affliction, giving pain to your body. In other words, undergoing hardships in life. When you can have luxuries, when you can have all sorts of good things, instead you do not find that path. What you do is you inflict a lot of pain onto your body. Willingly you take on the path of giving excessive pain, excessive suffering to your body, to yourself. That extreme is called self-mortification. So the Buddha says at the very beginning, there are 2 extremes. The first one is giving pain to one's body. Now you should be able to recognize this thing. The Buddha spent 6 years doing that thing. In search of truth, he put a lot of pain onto his body, and he realized that it is not the path. It is useless. The words that the sutra uses are, the self-mortification, it does not lead you to profit. It is ignoble and it's very low, painful, ignoble, unprofitable. Those are the words he uses. That's one extreme. The other extreme is giving excessive pleasure, enjoying the sensual pleasures to the most. That is another extreme. So there are 2 extremes now. One is giving pain. Second one is enjoying the luxuries, enjoying the sensual pleasures. So these 2 extremes, the Buddha says, one should avoid. in search of truth, or in search of nibbana, in search of salvation, one should avoid these 2 extremes. Now, there's a very good thing that you need to learn in your life. In any given case, extremes are not good. In our day-to-day life also, we tend to, rely on certain extremes. We go on to the extreme and we hold on to that thing tenaciously, very strongly, and believe that is the truth. So the Buddha is saying, don't do that. So that is the thing that you have to learn from this. Don't go into extremes, okay? And then after avoiding the two extremes, the Buddha says, what one should do is to follow the middle path. Middle path. So the two extremes are like this, two ends. So you have to come to the middle. This is the Buddha's great message. In all his life, he has been practicing, he has been asking the people, his followers, to do that thing. Don't go into extremes, but come to the middle. Stay in the middle. Staying in the middle is the most advisable, wise thing to do. And he says, see what it's called middle path or middle way. In the sutra, he says, only way out is the middle path. In his own life, in Buddha's own life, he followed sensual pleasures, that extreme, when he was staying at the palace, when he was in the living with the his family and all kinds of luxuries. He had different mansions for different weather seasons, all kind of thing. That is giving, enjoying the sensual pleasures. That end. And then after that, he thought, no, that is not the way. I should give excessive pain to my body. That's why he spent 6 long years, rejecting the luxuries of life, instead giving pain to one's body, excessive pain. Sometimes he was sitting on a rock, very heated rock, hot day, sun on the top, and under the rock is heat, very hot. And he was sitting there for hours, very painful. So that's why he says, please avoid these two extremes and come to the middle. When he was explaining the middle, please read the sutra, then you can get the idea very, very nicely. When you follow the middle path is nothing else, but he says, the Buddha says in the sutra, middle path is nothing, only this noble eightfold path. It's called noble eightfold path. There are 8 limbs into that path, 8, you might say 8 steps. That path, right understanding, right intention or right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These 8 limbs are there in the Noble Eightfold Path. So when you come to the middle, means you are following these 8 steps. And then a very important thing in this sutra is the Buddha discusses, he says, you are very familiar with the thing, 4 Noble Truths. In Buddhism, one of the core teachings, we were discussing this thing before too, 4 Noble Truths. So in this sutra, you find the 4 Noble Truths. Suffering, maybe in the translation you might not find the word suffering, but it is being translated as ill. Ill and suffering are the same. Dukkha, or suffering, or ill, or dissatisfaction, any word that you may use. And so suffering, the second one is the cause of suffering. Third one is the escape from suffering or freedom from suffering. The last one is the path leading to the cessation of suffering, freedom from suffering. So these four things are called the Four Noble Truths. And in the sutra, very succinctly provides you what each of these truths are. When a person wants to attain Nibbana or attain the freedom, one has to understand the Four Noble Truths as it is. In other words, you have to understand that the big problem we all are facing is ill. Ill means suffering. Suffering means dissatisfaction that we have. In any given situation, we are not satisfied, right? In our day-to-day life, we are not satisfied with what we have. Always we think about the things that we don't have, right? We invest a lot of our time and energy to achieve things that we do not have. And that is dissatisfaction. That is the suffering. That's the ill. When we lose something that we that we love so much, then we feel same thing, dissatisfaction. When we are associating with people whom we do not like to be with, that is dissatisfaction. Like that, it goes on. Read the sutra. It explains this nicely. Mingling with unwanted people, mingling with unwanted things, you get dissatisfied. You get suffering. And lastly, the Buddha says, all this body, our body itself is suffering because we have to maintain our body. That's the suffering. Dissatisfied. When you go to the go in front of the mirror, right? When you see gray hair, you're trying to hide it. Dissatisfied. So in the same way, anything, any given thing in life, we are not happy, we are not content, we are not satisfied. So this problem is there. So what is the cause of this problem? The second noble truth talks about the cause of this dissatisfaction, suffering. The cause, according to Buddhism, is nothing else but the greed, the desire that we have. We desire so much. Say, for example, if you achieve something, we desire to keep it as it is. When you are young, you want to be young all the time, but that never happens. So dissatisfaction. Desire is the cause for suffering. Desire in Pali, tanha. So the second noble truth talks about the cause of suffering. And then the third one, the Buddha, his investigation, in his investigation, he found there should be a release from this dissatisfaction. There should be a way out. There should be a remedy, a solution for this dissatisfaction or suffering. And for that, the Buddha said, oh, okay, there is one solution for this problem. That is called the Nibbana. Nibbana is not getting attached to anything and be free from all kinds of desire and, hatred and all those things. Because if you are, because now you should be able to see the logic. First is the problem, and the second is the cause of the problem. Third is the answer, the solution to the problem. That is in Buddhism, according to Buddhism, is the Nibbana. the final release or freedom from suffering. And then the fourth one, very logically presented. The fourth one is there should be a way to reach there. To attain Nibbana, there should be a path, way of achieving that thing. And that one is called the fourth noble truth, or the noble eightfold path. So this is the idea in this sutra. This is the gist. So I want you to read this sutra and summarize it the way you understand it. Very important thing is, this is actually the core, one of the core teachings of the Buddha. So one of the sacred scriptures of the Buddha. All over the world, this has been recognized as one of the sacred texts. So I want you to read it and get the first-hand experience of reading it, and then put that into summary. That will be your homework. I think that's it for today, and please do your homework. It's very easy, not that difficult. Do your homework and submit the assignments. And if you have any questions, please email me again. Hope that will be enough for today, and thank you very much. Enjoy your week.